This is Dr. Gary Kellner, and I would like to welcome you to Fair Game, where no subject, no matter how controversial or how divisive, is off limits. In recent weeks, there has been a new wave of protest against the radical Islamist regime of Iran. In fact, these are the largest public demonstrations since 1979. Information's hard to get from Iran. Right now, there's a blackout. There's been a clampdown on all social media and on the internet. But Iran watchers believe that perhaps as many as 20,000 Iranians have been slaughtered by the security forces of the Ayatollah. Let's let that sink in for a moment. In just a few weeks, 20,000 people murdered by their government. They're running out of water in Iran. The currency has collapsed. The economy is in a shambles. President Trump has delivered a stiff message to Iran's mullahs and has said, if you don't stop killing your people, we will step in. That wouldn't mean much from a lot of American presidents because the way of dealing with Iran through much of the last 45 years has been that they engage in terrorist activity, they bomb, and then we negotiate. With President Trump, he bombs and then they negotiate. Now, you may disagree, but it has taken one of the worst players in the world today and put them on a leash. The sanctions on the oil industry are working. Now, you wouldn't be surprised to know that that wonderful friend of popular government, Vladimir Putin of Russia, is urging caution. And so is Prime Minister Modi of India, another great Democrat. They are urging caution, which is their way of saying, our guy is losing, so please take your foot off the gas. It has been evident for a long time that the overwhelming majority of the people of Iran want regime change. Now, they have elections, and there really are fake elections. There has never been an open and fair election in Iran. There won't be as long as the radicals run the government. But what we know is that people get tired of sitting in the dark at night. They need water. They need safety, right? Those are the basic needs every human being in the world needs. And out of their desperation, they are risking their lives by going into the streets of every major Iranian city and calling for regime change. Now, America has a long and troubled relationship with Iran. The CIA underwrote and engineered the coup that put the Shah in power in the early 1950s. And he was not a terribly effective leader. And the people wanted him gone in 1979, and so he was. The revolution that was promised to the Iranian people by Ayatollah Khomeini never happened. The radical Islamists just put the screws on harder and harder and harder. So now, 47 years into that experiment, we know that it has failed, and we know that there should be change. Americans are always asking the question, what should our role be? Many of us are reminded of Colin Powell's famous dictum when he was advising President George W. Bush not to go into Iraq. He said, when you go into Iraq, it's the Pottery barn. You break it, you own it. I don't think there's any temperament in America for going into Iran. But a lot of Americans believe that that country would be better off with a different kind of government. And the Trump administration has been resolute on this point. Last year, I was part of a group of civic leaders and faith-based leaders who spent a day on Capitol Hill. And in that day of meeting with our representatives and with our senators, we made 3 points. We want to see the U.S. Congress support Israel because it is the only light in an otherwise dark region, the only democratic state in that part of the world. I was talking with a prime minister in a Muslim country, and I asked him how he felt about Israel. And he looked at me and he said, "My friend, if Israel goes, I'm a dead man in 48 hours. Israel is the light of God." He was a Muslim leader. Israel is more than a nation. It's certainly much more than it is portrayed in much of the Western media as colonizers and as oppressors, none of which is true. We also urge them to stand against anti-Semitism in our own country. But the third point, and this was May of last year, we urge them to support whatever measures were needed to keep Iran from going nuclear. Less than 4 weeks later, our Air Force struck the nuclear facilities in Iran. Did our advocacy have any impact? Who knows? Although there were some very significant people who were up on the Hill that day who represent significant constituencies in the faith community. But when you look at Iran, a couple things are absolutely true. Let's just focus on the Iranian people who deserve to have a government of the people and by the people and for the people. What they have now is a government of the Mullahs, by the Mullahs, and for the Mullahs. We know that that government does not support human dignity or aspirations. We know that that government oppresses women. And yet, Western media encourages us to back off. The Western media, like Vladimir Putin and Prime Minister Modi, tell us that what we need is de-escalation. I'm going to suggest the opposite. When your enemy is digging a hole, don't help him out. This is the time for regime change in Iran. That's not a call for deploying American military forces. That's a separate question that has to be dealt with in another place. But by every means possible, we need to support the people of Iran as they pursue their own liberty. I wouldn't be sitting in this chair today if the French hadn't supported ours, and if the Dutch hadn't financed it. It's not enough for me to say, I have mine. You do the best you can. We need to support liberty and human dignity wherever we find it. This is Dr. Gary Kellner, and this is Fair Game. Thank you for joining us today.